Good evening, everyone, and welcome to week 3 in CE 155, Facility Layout and Design. Chef Suzanne and I welcome you to another fine live session. Great job last week, everybody. Hey, I noticed a lot of on-time submissions, and Chef Suzanne and I are very proud of you guys for getting everything turned in on time. It's, we're not here treating you like children. What it is, it's a sign of professionalism to submit your work in a timely fashion. It's something that will carry over into industry. And I think I mentioned this the other night in a different class, but customers don't sit at the table and wait for you to, get to the kitchen, and, they don't accept excuses. They only accept the product on the table. And that's the mentality we all need to have when it comes to doing the schoolwork here. So congratulations. We had a very good on-time submission rate in this class. So hats off to everybody. Chef Suzanne and I are awfully proud of you guys. So keep up the work and keep moving forward. Week 3 out of 6, huh? Does that mean we're halfway? Chef Suzanne, we almost there?
We are. Crazy.
I know. Time goes by so quick in these courses, don't they?
Really does.
Yeah. Hey, week 2, I want to hear some feedback on week 2. Week 2, we worked on the food business location, and I want to hear some feedback. Does anybody want to share what they came up with? Who wants to be the first one? Go for it, Elaine.
Okay. I'm going to have a tea room. And it's going to be on San Marco Avenue in St. Augustine, Florida.
Okay.
Lots of traffic there.
Okay.
St. Augustine is the oldest city in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So we have bukus of visitors all the time.
Okay.
So I've already found a place.
It's a really pretty place. She had a picture. I saw it.
Well, it's going to look even better when I get finished redoing it. But anyway, I'm very excited.
Okay, so you put a lot of thought into that, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Valerie Gilmore, how'd your assignment come out this week?
I guess it came out great. I'm catering.
How'd you like working on it? What's your feedback?
Well, I'm catering, so I'm looking for a commercial kitchen, and I found one. I guess it'll be fine. It's out of the way, so
good.
At night it'll be a little sketchy, but other than that, it's a great place. It's a great site. A lot of food trucks are there, so it should be okay.
Okay, so it sounds like you put a little thought into that. I think a lot of people kind of brush off the fact that they're doing catering and location isn't that important, whereas it's extremely important because you're dealing in multiple directions. You can be going east, west, north, and south, and you don't want to lock yourself into the far side of a city when you're, your target market is on the other side of the on the other side of the city. So, I think catering companies have it's very important to do that. Yeah. Who else wants to share about their assignment? What about Dan Peck? He's just down there all quiet, man. He's kind of hiding.
Hiding, I just joined the group. Sorry about that, Chef. Good evening.
Good evening.
In my narrative, I wrote up that I was interested. Right now I'm looking at a small upper scale breakfast, lunch style sandwich shop. Got some specialty items that I've been working on for a while, so I want to introduce that. At first, I thought a mall food court would be a nice place because the benefits would be seating, traffic, and that kind of thing. But then I thought competition's pretty fierce in those kinds of environments, and really not sure that that's the demographic that I want to entertain. Although I wouldn't turn the money down that may come my way, but I've always been fascinated with the idea that you can walk into any kind of a business, an office building or something like that, a major style office where you've always got that little corner sandwich shop that's right at the first floor. I live in Northern Virginia, so I've got these business ventures everywhere, be it a park or be it a full-size building. So I think that's where I'm leaning to until I can decide how to expand my menu, hence expand my floor space and make a bigger place out of that.
I owned a facility like that years ago, and it turned out to be a really good point, and it really grew into a larger venture over the years. And those places, those office buildings and office parks and stuff, especially the larger, nicer office buildings that you're talking about, oftentimes offer very attractive leases because the restaurant serves as an amenity to their lessees. So they're oftentimes working with you. One of my first restaurants was at the bottom of a 33-story office tower. And I got in there for $3,000, lock, stock, and barrel, furniture, equipment, and everything else.
Wow.
And after several years, I sold it for a significant amount of money, up into the 6 digits. And, so it's a great opportunity if you're just kind of getting your feet wet. You've got a built-in clientele, and you can really grow. So good.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I did a lot of work in Atlanta, right down from the underground. I've been to the Peachtree Plaza. I've been, all over Atlanta, all over Florida, St. Augustine. I've been there as well. And it's amazing the opportunities for a small business to start up. And what you say really kind of intrigues me into the idea of not necessarily just leasing, but maybe purchasing something small.
Yeah.
And going from there. I've never done it before. I've always been the line guy. So now I'm really, I'm kind of excited about moving forward to getting the dream accomplished.
You might want to consider doing a lease, and what the type of lease is called. It's called, it's a lease with a FF&E, and FF&E in the restaurant industry refers to furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So basically the landlord owns everything and you're leasing it from him. And it can really, for your first place, when you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of capital to work with, it can be very advantageous in the long run. Because what it does is it allows you time to build clientele. It allows you time, and like you mentioned, you want to roll some items out and kind of experiment. It gives you the opportunity to do that. And you're not shelling out a lot of cash, and you're providing a great service for the landlord at the same time. So
beautiful. And you said that was furniture, what?
Furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
And equipment. Okay.
Right.
I was writing that down while you were speaking, so
all right.
I get that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. So good job. Great thought process on that. So does anybody else want to share about their week 2 assignment?
We do have a couple hands up, Chef. Derek has his hand up.
Derek.
Hey, Chef.
What's up?
Man, it's, I heard the 2 different students speak, and I'm like in the center of them. St. Augustine, and I'm in St. Mary's, which is right up the street, basically, in Atlanta, and I was just there. But coming from Miami, and I have a little culinary background from the military and some other schools, but here, classically trained cooks stand off, not really stand out. Everybody can really cook in these areas. I mean, really, really. I mean, they have these different recipes. So my idea originally when I started Escoffier was to feed infants and elderly. So I'm trying to figure out how I can do my grandfather's property. He has a farm out here, and the place to process the vegetables, to smoke the stuff. Everything is here, the FFE you were just talking about. And I'm glad that guy asked that question because I didn't understand that at first. And I want to do more of a vegan style, Southern flavored dish. My grandfather, he would always say, son, it looks tremendously good. He said, it even tastes good, but it doesn't fill me up. And I'm like, Granddad, I was just trying to speed up his metabolism with smaller dishes, frequent smaller dishes. So
let me answer the first part of your question.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people in this world can cook. A lot of people get to this level that we're all experiencing now, which is a much higher level of culinary arts than the average cook. You know, we have much better training with sanitation techniques and all that other kind of stuff, which you're really learning here. But there's not a lot of people out there that can cook and make money doing it. And that is where the big difference is. And that's what this class and then 165 are the two classes that are really, really going to shape your culinary career. You know, Dan and Elaine just brought up some great points. You just brought up some great points as well. But as I listen to it, everybody's got this culinary thing going. Don't lose sight of the fact that you're here to make money. Right?
Thank you. I forgot about that.
And, you know, Derek, Elaine, and Dan, and Robert, and Valerie, and Ruben, and Elaine, and everybody, you know, everybody out there can make a great dish, right? But how many of you can make a great dish consistently and make money doing it? And that's the bottom line, the culinary arts. So
thank you.
Yeah. So great comments, everybody, about what you said. I think week 2 sounded like a good overall exercise for everybody.
We do have one more hand. Bill had his hand up too, Chef. Oh, now it's down.
There you are, Bill. I'm sorry, Bill. I'm not ignoring you, man.
That's all right, Chef. I was just going to mention, I was actually going to, we have a supermarket here in the town not far from me that shut down. And it's up for sale. And I thought that'd be a great place to retrofit and open up my, we call it Smoke Trails, my barbecue place. I mean, it's almost 14,000 square feet. So there's plenty of room for a front of the house, like a banquet hall, a back of the house, you know, park your food truck there if you wanted to, you know, gives room for expansion. So that's what I based my assignment off of.
That's very interesting. We have a concept like that here in our downtown area, and it's they've done very, very well. But with what you mentioned, old grocery store, and all of you that are seriously considering opening up a facility in the future, always remember that there are multiple sources of revenue within a restaurant. Many people open up restaurants and they think, okay, I'm going to sell this, I'm going to sell this plate, I'm going to sell this drink, I'm going to sell this tea, and that's how I'm going to make my money. Don't limit your revenue sources. What I'm getting at is retail within a restaurant environment does very, very well. You know, Elaine, I'm going to go back to Elaine. She's talking about a tea shop. Well, packaged teas, tea production equipment, scones for retail is wonderful. Bill, with your concept, you're talking about that 14,000 square feet. I'm thinking about parking a plane in that place. That's huge, man. But there's a lot of other revenue sources. And also never, ever forget your back door as a revenue source. There's a lot of money to be made out your back door. My first restaurant, we maxed out in the dining room. So we turned to catering. And that's called backdoor business. And that became another revenue stream for us. So you should have about 3 to 4 different sources of revenue within your restaurant other than just the guy that walks in the door. There's a lot of other ways to make money. Elaine, what was your, Elaine, you had your hand up again?
Chef, when I believe it was Derek brought up that he was looking at culinary in 2 or 3 different lights. I am too, because for the tea room, I just want to be open from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I want to make it exclusive, like morning to like 2 in the afternoon. And then do the catering some of the other days, but I don't work on the weekend. I'm not working on the weekend. It is slammed downtown St. Augustine. And I could do culinary. I was also thinking about having cakes and pies for sale. But my background is catering. I've been catering for 30 years. So
you've got it. Then you're going to have to get creative under those circumstances. A couple of things that I would recommend. If you don't want to work on the weekends or you don't plan on being open on the weekends, number one, you can host culinary classes there on the weekends that you can have somebody else do that. And then number 2, with your catering, it's a wonderful tie-in with tea, is picnic baskets to go out the door on the weekends only. And those are other revenue sources that you can get creative with. Yeah, I mean, Derek was talking earlier, and he was talking about that country vegan style place, and it was starting to make me hungry. You know, he started But it's really limited to your creativity. And touching on Derek's comment real quick, he was talking about, culinarians, and then I talked about, well, we get to this level. You've got to get that out of your head, because that's not what success in this business is all about. Gordon Ramsay's done very well. He has 3 Michelin stars. He's got some great techniques. There's a lot of people that don't have the Michelin stars that have made a lot more money than he has in this business. And it's not about putting snails on a plate with tweezers, right? It's about creating the product that you're passionate about, that's quality, that you can consistently serve and generate profit, right? That's what it's about. So don't get yourself confused thinking, oh, I'm shooting for a Michelin star because that's where it's at. It is for some people, but not for everyone. So,
Chef, there was one other thing I wanted to share, and I will not take up any more of the class's time. Today I went to a nice luncheon room, birthday girls lunch. It was great. We were there 14 years ago. We were talking about, they have the same lobster bisque. It is the same every time we go.
Yeah.
And that is what draws people in.
Yeah, that's a great comment. That's a great comment. Consistency is a huge. You are learning all the tools here at Escoffier to create that consistent product. That's why we harp on your techniques. That's why, in 102, we're barking at you about your knife cuts. We're barking at you about your sanitation solution. This is what it takes to succeed in the business. And going back to the level of culinary, what we perceive as culinary or gourmet, I've had my socks blown off at 2- and 3-star Michelin restaurants in my lifetime. I've been blessed enough to be able to eat at some. I've also had my socks blown off at taco stands on the streets of Mexico. So I mean, think about it. You need to go where you need to go. It's you, right? Not them. So do it from that perspective. Clarissa, did I say that right?
Actually, you did. Most people get it wrong.
Hey.
I actually have been doing my summit based on the food truck, which is kind of the idea overall is that we actually have a game store restaurant. That is the retirement plan of me and my husband. A tavern-themed restaurant inside of our hobby store. Now, the food truck is the first step because that is the roaming hall where I, get our brand known. My thoughts on it, though, is I really wanted to use it more for special events and festivals so that I can get that temporary beer license that goes so well with the tavern food. But that limits customer base, where we can serve and that kind of thing. Do you have any thoughts and ideas on how to actually expand on that before we can get a brick and mortar?
Number one, don't rely on a food truck to feed your family, because it's probably not going to happen.
No, that's my husband's IT job.
Yeah. And I love food trucks from a marketing standpoint. And if you look upon it as a marketing tool, like you just mentioned, oftentimes they can be very valuable. They're awesome vehicles for catering. You mentioned the beer license being restricted. Yes. I would disagree with that. A beer license would be temporary permit would be restrictive within the event, but it would not. It would not be restrictive as far as allowing people to eat there, depending on what your state's liquor laws are. So I am impressed with the fact that you're thinking about going to a brick and mortar building. And I kind of like this idea that you're talking about a hobby shop and then you're talking about a tavern in there. I think that's totally.
My husband and I spend hours every week at the game store, but we always have to leave to eat.
Yeah.
And the longer you stay in a place, the more money you spend. So I thought, why not have that draw in the store?
That's a great way of thinking. I think that's very intelligent. You need to remember, Colonel Sanders started selling fried chicken out of a gas station. That makes no sense whatsoever, right? And look what happened to that poor fellow. You know, he did quite well. So, I mean, a tavern in a hobby store, I mean, who am I to say? Yeah. All right, guys, great comments. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Chef Suzanne, what kind of comments do you have for this week?
You know, it's actually funny. I'm kind of glad that they all got to talk first, because what everyone has just been talking about is probably some of what my favorite parts of this. Actually, I have notes again, like I did last night. Some of my favorite stuff that I saw this week in assignments is having to look at disadvantages. I feel like it's a lot easier. Everybody can normally see the good when we're like, oh, this is, you know, I think the disadvantages were a little harder to spot. And so many people didn't just tell me their disadvantage, they almost went so far as to offer solutions and solve some of their disadvantages. So I actually had a couple, I can't remember, I didn't write students' names down, I just wrote down, like there was one student that said that a disadvantage might be being near a college, and so there may not be as easy to get in some more qualified employees, but then kind of looked at the flip side that, well, then that means there's a lot of people available that can be trained exactly the way you want them, and you won't have to pay as much to do it. So I mean, I liked and I saw so much of that. Like someone said, well, I'm not really sure. There isn't a lot where I am going to be at. I'm going to be out in the middle of nowhere a little bit, so I want to work with area hotels and do delivery where no one else does unless they're using, say, like Uber or, you know, Waiter or whatever. And so I didn't just see these are my disadvantages. There were so many. Here's my disadvantage, but here's what I think I could do to adjust for that disadvantage. So I just thought the creativity with, I'm going to put a tavern in, you know, a game store, and I'm going to put, you know, I'm going to offer this, and I'm going to do catering on the weekends, or I'm not going to be open in the evening, so I'm going to rent out my kitchen to a friend of mine who wants to do cookies or whatever. And I just thought the creativity and the thought process behind, don't leave your building empty. What else can you do? You know, so it was awesome.
I love that. Those are great comments. Great comments. Yeah. So this class has got a good synergy to it. I like everything that I feel in here. One final comment regarding, you know, kind of what the end goal is in this industry. We talked about consistency. We talked about generating profit. I spent most of my career in hotels, you know, a lot of years as a director of food and beverage. And, you know, we have multiple outlets, multiple restaurants, banquet facilities, all that kind of stuff. The key to success wasn't me doing it. There's no way I could do it. I mean, it's impossible to run around, slice, dice, cook, sell, talk, clean, do everything myself. The key to success is to develop the product and then train and maintain somebody else doing it for you, is really where, you know, Dan, you know, I don't mean to keep picking on Dan, but he kind of has this entrepreneurial type mindset going on in his head. You're going to get to the stage where you get busy and you want to open up another one. Your focus needs to be able to get the number one unit running consistently without you being there. And that's the hard challenge, right? Those are all the things that you're learning here in Escoffier. All these numbers, conversions, food costs, locations, and everything else, it's all going to come together and start making sense, right? Because it's not what we do as chefs, it's what we can get our teams to do as chefs. And that's the real success, right? So if Dan can be down in the Bahamas and he's got 6 of these breakfast lunch places, or Elaine with her tea shops down in the Bahamas, and they're strumming along, generating revenue, making money, you've done it. You can sleep well. So, ladies and gents, we are midway through the course, like we mentioned earlier. Make sure that you take the mid-course survey. We really appreciate all of the honest feedback that we get from everybody. It really helps us improve the program here at Escoffier as well. When you get into industry, make sure that you take the feedback you get from your guests, friends, and associates open-mindedly so you can grow from it as well. So make sure that you do take the mid-course survey this week. It is very, very important. So make sure you are there. Let's take a look at our week 3 class page to make sure that we're all on the same page, so to speak. Hopefully everybody's taking a look at the weekly intro videos. I notice I'm not getting a lot of views on the YouTube, so I'm not feeling loved. But we need to make sure that we're tuning into those things and checking them out. There's some good hints and tricks to get through the week and make it a little bit better for you. Mid-course survey right here at the top. Take advantage of it. And then research materials this week. Front of the house design is really going to help you out. A lot of solid numbers and figures in there to help you figure out square footage and all that other type of stuff. We're going to talk about that tonight here in just a moment. Thank you, everybody, for attending the live session. And then this week's assignment, you're doing 2 pages in the facility layout tool that we opened in week 1. You're going to be doing your front of the house design, and you're also going to be doing your mood board. Some of this can be totally cool. I know a bunch of you, when you got into this class at the very beginning, you probably had everything mapped out in your head, right? I see it, I know it, like a genie, right? And as this class progresses, all of that's going to change and morph itself into something even better, right? So just be really open-minded and learn as much as you can. This is a major investment on your part, right? Not only time, your family's welfare, money. So learn as much as you can. Any food service operation, we're chefs, right? So we're all under the assumption that food is the reason they are in the restaurant, right? God sent these people to me for my creme brulee, right? It's not really the truth. There's 3 very vital aspects to all restaurants. And those 3 vital aspects are food, right? It's extremely critical when you go out to eat. But then the ambiance plays a major role in the diner's experience. And then the third part would be the service. All 3 of those parts must jive, right? So don't get hung up, especially in this class, that they're there at your restaurant for the food. Don't lie to yourself. They're there for the ambiance, they're there for the service, they're there for your personality, and they're there for your food. So make sure that you focus on all the elements of your restaurant to make it very, very important. For the next few minutes, we're going to talk about the front of the house, and then we are going to dive into the assignment this week because it's a little bit more complicated since we're working with multiple pages. You need to, when you're designing your front of the house dining room, that needs to come from 3 different perspectives as well. One, it needs to be designed from the guest perspective. The first thing that a guest sees is your ambiance, right? Once they walk into your restaurant, it's going to set the tone for your for the experience. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever walked into a restaurant before and the tables are unbussed. The servers are kind of sloppy, and it kind of smells a little funny in there. It sets the tone for your experience versus when you walk into a restaurant, everything is nice, neat, clean, booths are full, servers are neat, dressed. It sets the experience before you've even had any food. Second thing you need to really worry about when it comes to front of the house design is the operational aspect. Chef Suzanne is going to be all over you this week. She's really keen when it comes to picking up on the operational aspect. Restaurants are designed in the dining room very specifically for very specific reasons. There are hand sinks located, there are service stations located, all sorts of things that we're going to talk about here in a moment. And then the third thing that you need to consider when you're designing your dining room is financial aspect. Right? A lot of us have limited capital. Capital is the money that we have in reserve after we've built the restaurant to continue to operate. Thank you, Sandra. Right? They say you need to have at least 3 years of working capital in your bank. That means that you can go 3 years and not make any money. Don't dump it into your dining room. There's something we work with in the restaurant industry. It's called ROI, right? ROI means return on investment, right? If I give Bill $100,000 to open up his converted grocery store, what am I going to get back, right? Return on investment. Bill's down there, nothing. Yeah. So if you go into your dining room, for example, and you purchase Waterford Crystal or Riedel wine glasses and these things, how much money are you going to make off those things? Every single thing in your dining room is there to make you money. It has to have a purpose. So be very conscientious about that. So a dining room, how big should a dining room be as a percentage? Your dining room should be about 60% of your total gross square footage, right? So if you have 1,000 square foot building, 600 feet of that should be dedicated to your front of the house, while 40% should be dedicated to your kitchen. These are some interesting figures that you really need to pay attention to. How do we figure out how big our dining room should be, right? You've done your numbers, and you're going to learn how to do those in 165. You've done your numbers. You know what type of revenue you need to generate, which tells you how many customers you need to feed. So a fine dining restaurant is going to need about 18 to 20 square feet per person, okay? Fine dining restaurants, they have larger chairs, larger tables. It's a little bit more spacious. So you want to figure about 18 to 20 square feet per person. Whereas as you work your way down the ladder, you get to the casual fast food type concept, you're going to go about 11 to 14 square feet per person. So what that means, if you plan on having, you want to seat, 100 people in your restaurant, you're going to figure about 14 square feet. So that equates to about 1,400 square foot dining room. 1,400 square feet would be 60% of your total space. And I'm not smart enough to tell you what that would be, but you know how to figure it out. Elements that you choose. And when I say elements, I am talking about your tableware, your glassware, your booths, your decor, all those types of stuff. That is what creates your ambiance within the restaurant. Okay? You have to be very conscientious when choosing elements in restaurants. Elements, number one, if you go with a firm Cambro type cup, which is a plastic type material, but they're real heavy duty, it sets a certain feel in the customer's hand, right? Versus a fine piece of china like Riedel, or not china, but glassware like Riedel, it feels completely different in the hand of the customer. These are little subconscious things that your customers pick up on. Be careful, make sure it's in alignment with what you're doing. Now, some of the other things that we really need to take into when we're designing our dining room as far as elements are concerned, noise is a huge issue in the dining room. If you create a solid floor and you have solid tables, right, without a tablecloth, and you have, let's say, wooden chairs or Formica chairs, whatever you end up going with, guess what's going to happen to the sound? It's going to be like a ping pong in a ping pong, or not a ping pong, but a, what do they call those? The ball that kind of rolls around in there and bounces off everything. What do they call those, Chef Suzanne?
Yeah.
In all the arcades.
Pinball.
Pinball. Yeah.
Pinball.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm really glad somebody knew that, because I was just trying to humor him. I didn't know what he's talking about.
She's trying to make me feel good. Yeah. Hey, but the sound becomes like a pinball. And I had a friend of mine that opened up a very fine dining Italian restaurant. He went with solid flagstone floors. Then he went with these beautiful marble tables. He didn't want to do tablecloths because it wasn't rustic. And then you walked in there, you talked, and you could just hear echo, echo, echo. So that's something you need to be really, really conscientious of. The noise level that you have in your restaurant is going to set the ambiance as well. There's certain songs and sounds that go with food, right? When I think about Bill's Southern barbecue type thing, I could almost hear, some ZZ Top or somebody kind of go off in the background, a little bit louder, a little bit more fun, a little bit more laughing and that kind of stuff. Pretty lame. If I walk into the tea shop, and I hear this ZZ Top playing, or Alabama playing in the Sweet Home Alabama or something in the background, it's not going to jive, man. So you really need to think that through. It's very, very important. It means a lot. And it also sets the feeling. If I'm listening to that Alabama or that ZZ Top, I don't plan on paying a lot for my food, right? Because it tells me it's kind of a fast casual place. But if I'm listening to, I'm in Elaine's place and I'm listening to the Turk March by Mozart, I'm probably going to pay a few more bucks for my scone because it's the ambiance, right? Lighting is a huge factor in restaurants. That means something. Lighting in a restaurant, lower end, or not lower end, I shouldn't say that, but fast casual restaurants will be bright, well lit. They're not accommodating. They don't want you to hang out there. They don't want you to loiter. So they keep it well lit, easy to see, easy to clean, get you in and out. Whereas when the lighting is down low and soft, right, it's relaxing. I want to hang out and chill, you know? I want to savor that filet mignon. So your lighting plays a very big role in this whole thing. We need, we're going to switch over to some slides here. Your dining room, the most critical thing you can do in your dining room is make sure that it remains extremely versatile. When we talk about versatility in a dining room, if you go with all booths, right, and you have a table of 10 that walks in, you're not going to be able to move that booth across the room, are you? No. However, if I go with a mixture of booths and 4 tops and 2 tops, then I can move 2 4 tops and a 2 top and put it together, and that creates a table of 10. But if I don't have a table of 10, but I have 2 4s and a deuce walk in, then I've got the tables, right? So it needs to be versatile in your setup. In the restaurant industry, when we use the word top, a top refers to a customer, right? And if I go to the kitchen and I say, hey, Chef Suzanne, we just had a 16 top that walked in with no reservation. She's going to know exactly what I'm telling her, right? Well, she'll probably start crying first.
Bring it on. Bring it on. I'm not afraid. Bring it on.
After her breakdown, then she'll say, bring it on. Yeah. So we do talk a little bit differently. Deuce is obviously 2 people. Valentine's Day is probably the worst day in the restaurant industry because we don't make any money. Because on all those 4 tops and booths and everything else, where we normally sit 4, we only get 2. So we refer to Valentine's Day in the restaurant industry as death by deuce, because that's literally what it is. Taking a look at our slides. Can everybody see that? We good? All right. So these are some very, very versatile dining rooms that I saw somewhere. And they offer plenty of space, but if you notice, they've got 4 tops lined up here, and then they've got 2 tops lined up here. This is more of a lounge type setting, but they can push those tables together to make larger tables or smaller tables or whatever their flow of customer requires, they are able to accommodate, right? Whereas booths, like these corner units, they can't do anything more than what they're there for. So it's very, very important. This is another great setup right here. This is primarily just tables. But this dining room I like because this is a bar area here in the center. And it's a little bit more of a finer dining restaurant, but all eyes are focused to the center of the dining room, right? What do I make the most money on? Liquor, right? So if everybody in my dining room, the focal point of my dining room is booze, right? I'm probably going to sell a few more drinks. So that works out real well in the long run. Restrooms are a major issue in the restaurant industry. How many of you have walked into a restaurant, a nice restaurant? You're all excited. You have to excuse yourself to use the restroom for a moment. You walk in and there's toilet paper on the floor. You know, yeah, the Lane's up there, Gibson, Lane, yeah, and it really sets the mood, because imagine if their restroom is out of condition. What do you think their kitchen is like, right? So don't go chintzy on your restrooms. Make sure that they are well put together. It does say a lot. People check out the restrooms. There is actually an app for your phone that will tell you the location of the nearest restroom and the rating that it has gotten from other users. So, you know, it's kind of an out of sight, out of mind. If you take a look at this one over here up on the left-hand side of the page, what do you think their kitchen is like? Right? If I go over here and I look at some of these other places, I'm pretty sure that they're doing a pretty good job. You know, it's nice, clean, orderly, well lit. I would feel comfortable eating there. So pay attention to your restrooms. In the restaurant industry, every inch counts. We've talked about that over and over again. For those of you that are doing cafes and that type of stuff, this is a typical display case, which I like because we talked about doing retail or backdoor business earlier tonight. And that really promotes that. You know, nice hostess area, clearly defined by the space. There's no sign that says that lady is the hostess, is there? Nothing. But you know it is because it's clearly defined by the space. Down over here, this is what we call a service station. You're going to have to put some of those into your front of the house, and we'll talk about that in a moment. A service station is a key element in the restaurant industry and the dining room. You don't want to have your servers have to walk half a mile to get a cup of coffee. You want to have stations located throughout your dining room. And as well, we primarily use POS systems, point of sale systems in the restaurant industry to place our orders so we don't have to go back to the kitchen to tell the chefs what we need. This is another service area up over here. Kind of a cool bar right down in there. So that's some cool stuff to look at. Food trucks. Okay. For those of you that are in the food truck frame of mind, a lot of people, when it comes to this exercise, say, well, I can't do it because a food truck has no front of the house. Well, if you listen to what we've just been talking about for the last 20 minutes, it's got a lot to do with the front of the house. It sets the ambiance of that person's dining experience at your truck. Food trucks have a front. It's done by the graphics on the truck. It's done by the display of condiments. It's done by the area immediately in front of it, or you can have some small tables and chairs. You have to have a trash receptacle. You should have a hand sink on your food truck. All of these things will need to be placed into your weekly assignment. We have a couple of pictures of some cool food trucks right over here. You know, there's a lot going on in the front. I look at this food truck here on the left-hand corner, and I see it sets an ambiance for what I think it should be like when I go to eat there. So do these other ones down here, right? So this one's got a nice big, you know, thing over the roof, you know, to protect you from the rain. It's got all these condiments and retail displays set up right here. So there's a lot going on with the food truck. So front of the house is applicable to this week's assignment by all means. Dining room setup. Oh, I don't want to talk about this right now. Let's shift over to our assignment before we go too much further here. Does anybody have any questions so far? Thoughts, concerns? No? So we talked about tables, chairs. We talked about how much space you're going to need in the dining room. The foyer entrance, we talked about that, where it's clearly defined by the space. You walk in, you know it's a hostess stand. You don't have to have a sign that says hostess stand because it's quite obvious. Bar, lounge area, should you choose to do that, is going to have some requirements that Chef Suzanne's going to be taking a look at. You need to have a place to wash your glassware. You need to have proper hand sinks. You need to have proper refrigeration and all these other things in there that she'll tune in for as well. Dining area, make sure that you do include waiter stations, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a moment. We talked about a POS system. And then let's take a look at our facility layout tool here, since this week's assignment is just a little bit confusing. Sorry, I'm kind of lost with all these monitors. Okay. So what we are doing this week is week 1, we filled out this first slide, right, with our station equipment map. We put our menu in there from CE 185. And then last week, we did our food business location. This week, we are going to be working on our mood board and our front of the house design. You're going to go to slide 2. Slide 2 is going to give you the instructions for week 3. Copy and paste items from the right margin of your layout to design your front of the house, okay? So you're going to go to the front of the house slide, which is slide 4. I did not arrange these slides. I don't know why they're not chronologically arranged. We're just gonna have to push that question up the ladder. But so this week, it's the 3rd week. We're starting on slide 4 this week. So this week, you're working on slides 4 and 6. 4 and 6 this week. So to design your front of the house, okay? We talked about how many square feet you need. We talked about, the certain items that go in there. FOH in the restaurant industry stands for front of the house, while BOH stands for back of the house. If you choose to move these walls, you're certainly welcome to do so. You just click on them, and you can drag them wherever you want. And then if you click on them again, you can extend it out if you choose to do so. If you want to make your dining room bigger, smaller, if you want to put some smaller walls in there, that's certainly a possibility as well. You can move the walls wherever you want. So it's a very, very flexible tool.
Chef, can you show how to undo those changes you just made by using a little undo arrow?
This one up here in the corner?
Yep.
Okay, so up here in the left-hand corner, right underneath the word file, you're gonna notice a arrow pointing out. You can click on that. That means undo, right? So that just put my whole structure back together. But wait a second, I liked one of those moves I made. I want to go back. So you're just going to go to the other arrow, which sends you forward. So right underneath File, there's an arrow. Click on the arrow. That'll undo any changes that you've made. That is pretty prevalent throughout most programs today, especially in Google Suites, any type of the Google Docs, such as Docs or Slides or anything else. These curtain-looking objects are doorways. You want to make sure that you have an appropriate entrance and exit. And you also need to make sure that you provide an entrance and an exit to get in and out of the kitchen. Do not use the same door. We're not that smart to knock on a door. We don't have time to do that. So you want to make sure that you have a door that goes in and a door that goes out, right? If I want to rotate these objects, once I click on it, there's a small dot right at the very top. I just click, and then I can turn it any which way I want. And just drag my mouse to wherever I want it to go. So if I want that door down here, I can just simply move it down here.
Hey, Chef.
Yes.
You can also, when you highlight that, if you go up there where it says arrange, if you click on it, you have a drop down menu come up. And then it'll say rotate. Go to one more down.
I see it.
And then you can rotate it clockwise or counterclockwise, flip it horizontally or vertically.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Thanks, Bill. This is a mutual learning environment, isn't it? I'm going to go to bed smarter tonight than I woke up. So now that you've decided what you want your walls to look like and everything else, you're going to start putting the furniture and such in. These dots that are over here to the left-hand side, they're decoration right now. Just ignore them. We'll get back to them later on. That kind of goes with the question is why they're not in chronological order. So if you scroll on the bar down at the bottom of the page, if you notice I click on it and then I drag it, it's going to expose a bunch of miscellaneous items to put into the dining room. I click and I drag it into the center wherever I want it, and then I just let go of it and then it'll pop up. But you say, hey, I want more than one. Right? So you're going to right click on the object. You're going to copy And then wherever you want it, you're just gonna right click again and then hit paste, right? And then you just put that table wherever you want it. They multiply like rabbits. Trust me, you'll have all sorts of them before you know it. So
Yes.
you're going to right click, copy, and then right click, paste to create as many tables as you need. So we have, let's see, 2 10 tops right next to each other here. And then these round tables here.
12 top.
Round tables either come in dimensions of 70, 100, or 120 in the restaurant industry, or 60s as well. So we just click, drag. If I want it to reproduce, I copy, right click, paste, boom. So I can create as many tables as I like. And then there's also 4 tops. There's a deuce up here. This round one is actually a bar stool. If you're looking at bar seating, so that gives you an area. Ceiling lights, very important. We talked about lighting. It's a very important aspect to have. Chef Suzanne is really keen on making sure that you have proper operational aspects in your front of the house diagram, such as trash cans, right? Going to left click on it and just kind of drag and just drop it wherever I think that trash can should go. If it doesn't go in an appropriate spot, trust me, Chef Suzanne's gonna let you know. Yeah. And then a low boy. That is a piece of under-counter refrigeration that you'll primarily use for bars. So if you have a little bar area over here that you've created, you know, if I want to add an additional wall, once again, you know, if I click on it, I can right click, I can copy, right? Then I can right click again and I can paste, and I have another wall that I can work with. I can make it a little smaller, kind of drag it over, maybe make a little bar area over here. Kind of make my low boy refrigeration wherever I want to put it, wherever I see fit. Make sure your bar is located near the entrance and exit to your kitchen, especially if you plan on doing appetizers or food service in your bar. Make it conveniently located for service. Host stand, that should be located near the front of the building, right? When guests walk in. POS terminal. You need to create a service area for your waiters and waitresses. They need to have a place they can work in the dining room. That's where your POS terminal will go, your register system. They're gonna type in your order and that order will automatically go to the kitchen. Gueridon. A gueridon is a very formal piece of dining room equipment. It's something that we do tableside cooking with it, we do aperitifs with it, we do cordials with it, we push it around, we sell things on it. If you have a finer dining restaurant, you're probably gonna want the gueridon in there somewhere, wherever you choose to see fit. Drink dispensers, very critical, that goes well in your service area. Display case, should you need one. In your bar area, this is a bar that's already drawn out for you that you can use or not use, if you do. Okay, sinks. This little guy right here in the right-hand corner, critical piece of equipment, and Chef Suzanne is hot to trot when it comes to looking for hand sinks, and I'm on her side. You need to have places for your employees to be able to wash their hands while working in the dining room. You have to remember, servers handle cash, they handle food, and the two do not go very well together. So make sure that you have an appropriate place in there. Sinks, these are primarily for your bar area. You need to be able to wash your glassware, etc., while operating the bar. So if you have a beautiful bar and you have no sinks in there, Chef Suzanne might mention something. And that takes care of that. And then your food truck, are they just setting up the dining room, Chef Suzanne?
The thing about the food trucks is there really isn't quite as much. So it's kind of like they get off the hook a little bit for food trucks. So those doing food trucks, really the main thing is if there has to be trash cans outside of a food truck. And if they choose to have any seating, because some people don't want seating, but if you want seating outside, you need to include your seating and trash cans. And sinks, outside sinks are normally optional. Inside you have to have it, but that's next week. But as far as outside, typically all that really goes outside food trucks this week is going to be trash cans and possible seating.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that works. Nikki, what's your question? Nikki.
I think you ended up answering it about the those little dots on the side with the.
Yeah.
You said we don't need that till next week.
They always give us little special presents because they care about us, and those dots would be one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're going to use those later in the course. I don't think they're going to come from that particular page. I think they come from a different page, actually. So we have plenty of dots. If you need any, keep one. Take it
okay.
home. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Bill.
Things that I look for. Do you want me to talk about that real quick, Jeff?
About what?
Things that I will look for.
Oh, yeah.
You're definitely looking for, like if you look at the rubric, it's going to say flow. So if I look at your dining room layout and you've got a restaurant and you've got so many tables in there that there's going to be no way on earth that people are going to be able to walk around, I'm going to comment on that. So you want to make sure it's not too crowded, easy to move around, that you don't have, or it's too empty. So if you've got that giant dining room, you have one table. Do you need a dining room that big, or could you have adjusted things a little bit on that? Also looking again for sanitation. Every establishment should have trash cans. Now they don't necessarily have to be out in the dining room, right? So if you're in a fine dining restaurant, probably don't want to put a trash can by the door. Just throwing that out there. But you may have them in your server area. You're going to have them behind your bar. Other things, hand sinks. So again, you're going to have hand sinks anywhere there's food or beverage. So if you have display cases in your front of house, then you need to have hand sinks behind your display case. If you have a bar, you're going to have hand sinks behind your bar. You're going to have hand sinks in your server area. And so that is what I'm really looking for this week, right? And I will say it's a little hard to use this layout tool at first, which is why I had Chef show you all the undo. So play with it a little first. Try putting in a couple tables and then taking them out and see how everything moves around. Because if you just put in one table and then turn in your assignment and say, I don't know, I couldn't figure out how to get on the table in there, you're going to lose points. So make sure that you're playing with it, learn how to use it. If you get something in the wrong place, just undo it and it goes back away.
Awesome. Okay, let's move on to the last page that we have to do this week. I want to make sure everybody understands this. Chef Suzanne, you might help me with this one here just a little bit. We are going to be working on the mood board, which is going to help us better visualize and help you better visualize exactly what the ambiance and the feel and the look of your dining room should be. So you're going to collect images from the internet and you're going to cut and paste them into this area here. Multiple images, please, not just one. To help Chef Suzanne have a better understanding of exactly the feeling that you're going after. Color scheme here, you can just copy and paste colors into this area, or you can highlight it, and then right up here, you're going to see this little highlight color right above front of the house. Click on that, and you know, if you, I'm sorry, the fill color. Where is it? Oh, there it is. The bucket. The little bucket, the pencil up here on the toolbar. So hopefully this fills it, yeah. So what you need to do is you're going to click on the color scheme box that you are working on. And then you're going to go to the little bucket up here on the toolbar. You click on it and you choose the color that you want to work with. If you don't see the color you like, you can click on gradient. And that offers a lot more colors to work with. So if you're feeling passionate and you want to go with that deep red color, or if you want to go with a nice maroon color, whatever you choose to do, then you'll insert several images here that include colors, textures, furnishings, decorations, that type of thing.
Don't just put the links, actually copy the image and put it in there. So if I go in there and it just has 15 links, that's not gonna work. You actually need to copy the image and then stick it in there, and you may need to shrink it down because the picture may end up being this big. So you'll just want to grab the corner and shrink it down so your picture is a little smaller. So you're gonna go on the internet and you're gonna search for images of tables, restaurant tables, and then you'll find one. You go, oh, I love that one, and you'll just right-click it, copy that image, and then bring it over here and paste it. So don't put links, put the actual photos.
Excellent.
Copy images.
Right on the money. And then over here on the left-hand side of the sheet, in the restaurant industry, the term turn means that somebody gets up, leaves, and a new customer comes in and sits down.
Hey, Chef, real quick.
Uh-huh.
I think you may have an older version of the seating worksheet. Does everybody's seating worksheet look like that, or does it look like it's got way less boxes? I think the actual, is that, you may want to double check, Chef, because there's 2 floating around.
Let's see, this is right off the class page. So, sorry, it's kind of slow.
That's all right. I just think there's a second one floating around that has a lot more boxes on it, where actually asks you to put the table size on it, or like the table size. And I'm not sure that this assignment has that. There you go.
So this is going to be the box that you guys are working with. So what is the total seating for the restaurant, right? How many chairs do you have? Right. So say you have 100. How many turns can you do each day? That means how many times is your restaurant going to fill and empty, right? So if you have 100 seats and you plan on doing 150 covers per day, or a cover is a customer, 150 covers per day, that would be 1.5 turns, right? So how many covers daily are you going to do? 1.5 times 100 equals 150. That makes sense, Chef Suzanne?
I always think about it as butts in a seat. How many butts in a seat are you going to have? So that's, to me, you've got, 50 chairs. How many times is that chair just on average for the whole dining room? How many times are those seats going to empty and refill during the course? And then you're going to seating times your turns equals your covers.
Easy peasy. So the color scheme is gone over here, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm sorry that I explained all that. But,
can we say that again? Can you say that whole the seating times turns thing again? I don't know what I need that one more time.
You need that? Sure. One more time. I'll ask you, Archie, how many seats do you plan on having in your restaurant? Let's say you're going to plan on having 50 seats in your restaurant.
Okay, yeah, let's go with 50.
Okay, so you have 50 seats in your restaurant. How many times are those butts going to get up and a new butt's going to be sat down?
Let's say rather quickly, because it's more like a quick dining sandwich type of fusion food place. So you can go in there, you take my barbecue, my meats, and you can make sandwiches out of them. You could make
typically, Archie,
things like that out of them.
Hey, Archie, typically you're looking at maybe 1 to 2 turns per meal period. So if you're going to be open for lunch and dinner, you may have, say, 2, maybe even 3 turns in a meal period. So
so 2.
Okay, so they're going to do 2. So all you're going to do is you're going to do 2 times 50. We'll tell you how many people or customers or butts you're going to do per day, right?
Okay.
So 2 times 50 equals 100, and that's that. Does that make sense, Archie?
Yes, that makes sense now.
Oh, you still got the banner back there.
Yeah, it's still here.
That thing, man.
It's not going anywhere.
That thing back in July, I remember.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so everybody understand that?
Now, when it comes, so we didn't talk about this, when it comes to food trucks aren't necessarily going to have seats, but you still are going to have covers. So instead of figuring out how many seats how many people are you going to serve a day? How many covers a day, regardless of the seats? So you won't have any seats, you won't have any turns, but you're still going to have covers. How many people are you going to serve a day? Right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's answer some questions here real quick. Let's start with Sandra Crawford. What's up, Sandra?
Hi, how you doing? Chef, the color screen, are we still doing that on that page?
No, that was the old version.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Good?
All right.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
How about Bill? What's up, Bill?
Hi. Yeah, Chef, on the slides, whenever you put the lights in there, you can also, like you were showing how you could add walls, subtract walls, this, that, and everything. On your seats, you can shrink the size of your tables. You can elongate your lights. And then with the mood one, on that little toolbar, if they go to insert, and then you'll have a drop-down screen. You click on their insert from computer or the web, and then you just type in just to help people out.
Oh, that's kind of nice. Yeah. So
Now I got a question for you. I've kind of done mine. I got 64 seats and 9 bar stools. Would I count the bar stools as a turning them over? Because I mean, some people go to drink, some just go to drink and eat.
So
still consider
71 is your number.
Outstanding. Thank you.
You're welcome. Rebecca, what's up?
Yes, I was just curious if the speaker notes are required on this one as well.
The which notes?
Speaker notes. If you look on every page, there's a place where you ask, on the very first week, we had to give you our concept.
Yeah, that's just you do need to include your concept. Your concept has to be included every week.
Yes.
But speaker notes is just part of the PowerPoint presentation.
How is it different this time? Wouldn't my concept stay the same throughout all of the assignment?
Yes, your concept summary should be, if it was done correctly the first week, you just keep adding it in every week, same concept summary.
Uh-oh.
That answer your question, Rebecca?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. Elaine. What's up, Elaine?
Say you have the display case and somebody just comes in and wants to buy a cake or a pie. I mean, is that considered a turn or
it's a butt.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. All right, thanks.
It's got it, it's paying, and you're making money. Okay. How about Justin? What's up, Justin?
Yeah, I'm doing a food truck now. Am I still having to do the floor plan for the front of house?
Chef Suzanne, you want to handle that one?
Yes, like we just talked about, all you really have to do for front of house is, for sure, you have to have trash cans. And if you are going to have seating, then you would include that also. But some areas don't allow seating. Some people don't want seating at their food truck, so that's entirely up to you. So those of you with food trucks kind of got off a little easy this week because there's really not a lot required. The only thing you really have to have is trash cans. But tables and other things are optional for food trucks.
All right, thank you, Chef.
Yep. Does that answer everybody's question? I want to talk about our actual assignment page here real quick before we wrap it up. I know we've gone over a little bit tonight. This assignment is due no later than Tuesday night at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. But hey, let's get it in early. Chef Suzanne loves working the weekends. She loves busy Sundays. So do your best to get it in beforehand. This way you have enough time to make any changes that need be. So we are working with the facility layout tool that you started on week 1. This week you are working with slides 4 and 6. Is that still correct? Because I had an older version up there, Chef Suzanne. Let's double check.
Ruben is saying it is 5 and 7. Thank you, Ruben.
Is it okay? 5 is, yeah. Thanks, Ruben. Yeah. So it's 5 and 7. Yep, he is correct. So this week, Ruben and everyone else, you are working with slides 5 and 7. Don't forget to go to slide 2 to get the instructions if you have any questions regarding that. As far as your actual assignment is concerned, this is this week's rubric. We want to get our assignments in Saturday or Sunday this week, people. 20% for flow. Make sure your customers can easily navigate throughout the dining room and that your servers are able to get back and forth without any challenge to and from and to the tables from the kitchen. 20% sanitation. That's going to include the things like garbage cans and hand sinks. 10% visual appeal, especially when it comes to your mood board. Coherent visual style mood, very, very important. You don't want to have like pink zebra stripes in a fine dining restaurant. You want to make sure everything flows. 15% interesting and varied decor. Your seating worksheet that is directly next to your mood board, 10% filled out, 10% included, clear, and concise. Did I miss anything there, Chef Suzanne?
I do not believe so. I do know we've got a couple more hands up.
Let's do it. Let's see what they got here. All right, Mr. Peck, what's going on, man? One more time. What was your question?
Okay, on the little figures that you have for us to design the dining room. If I'm doing counter service and a few seatings in my small cafe, can I use the display case as, say, a salad setup station or a pizza setup station rather than a display case? Would that be sufficient for my layout as far as design?
That's going to be working with next week. You're getting into a lot of kitchen setup there, which is going to have a lot of different requirements. And I think it'll kind of muddle the actual assignment. In your instance, you're probably going to have a couple of seats in there, I would imagine. But then, what's that?
A few.
A few, yeah. So you can certainly use the bar area, the bar top as your counter. You can put your POS system right on the top of it. And if you do any unique things like that, make sure Chef Suzanne understands what you're doing.
Okay.
So you don't get swatted.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome. Rebecca, you had another question?
Yes, on the layouts where we're supposed to put the photo. Since I'm thinking about doing a food truck, am I gonna put if I have any tables and chairs and the trash cans, is that what I would be putting photos of in that?
Yes, absolutely. So you still have to do the rest of the assignment. So you still have to do the mood board. So you'll look for images of maybe lighting or maybe sound systems that you like, paint jobs that you like for your food truck. So it's just the same kind of idea, but instead of looking at the dining room for a restaurant, you're looking at what would be on the outside, what you'd like your outside of your food truck to look like.
Yeah, what did you mean by a sound system for a food truck?
Well, some food trucks have big loud sound systems that play music out of them.
Oh.
You want something like that.
Little J Rule going on, man.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, ladies and gents, any other questions? Number one, great job so far. Chef Suzanne and I are really impressed. And make sure that if you guys have any questions regarding this assignment, reach out and ask. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you succeed. Let's answer Heather's question real quick. Heather, what's up? Heather, are you there?
Yeah.
What's going on, Heather?
How do you show decor?
You don't show actual decor as far as plants, pictures, that type of thing in slide 5. However, you will show your decor in the mood board from the images that you cut and paste from the internet.
Okay, thank you, Chef.
You're welcome. Mr. Gator, Derek, what's up? Derek? What's up, Derek?
I'm having trouble retrieving my menu from from CE1A5. I did it on menus.com, but in my area, I'm having problems with internet and all that other good stuff. So I can't use my phone. They're trying to send it to me through my phone, and Google is not recognizing the system. Like I went to the public library. they're not accepting that. How
In
would I
this,
get
in
it?
this instance, you do not need your menu from CE 185 for this week's assignment.
Oh, great. Okay.
Number two, you don't want to be doing this exercise on your phone anyway. It's going to be a little difficult because some of the things get a little bit small and it could be difficult to work with.
Yes, chef.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gents, remember to reach out and let us know if you have any questions. We are here to help you succeed. Great job so far, and I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Bye, everybody.